Okay, we're going to pick up with the British Empire in North America, where we're going to be talking about the settlement of some of the other early British colonies. We will start with New York. Charles II will eventually become King of England, and he gave away lots of land as a way of paying off debt. He gave his brother James, the Duke of York, territory between the Delaware and Connecticut rivers, but really territory where the Hudson River lied. You remember this was previously controlled by the Netherlands. Okay, this was previous Dutch territory. But he gave the area around those rivers to his brother James, the Duke of York, who will name the region New York, again after himself. As far as New Jersey, Charles II does give a large amount of land that will become known as New Jersey to wealthy Englishmen, again, to pay off debt. Alright, and then the Carolinas. Charles also gave the land that will become known as the Carolinas to wealthy aristocrats. So that he can pay off a debt he owed to them. So essentially, a little British history here, but King Charles did have to borrow a lot of money, and so kind of in payment of the money, since he didn't have the money to pay them back, he gave people land, okay? And so that's how he gives his brother territory of New York, he gives wealthy Englishmen the territory of New Jersey, as well as the Carolinas. Now the Carolinas did kind of divide and differ in settlement. I want you to know that North Carolina was made mostly of poor families from Virginia. And they would live and work on small family farms. That would make sense because North Carolina borders Virginia, so it's just Virginians moving south into that new territory. South Carolina was settled by wealthier English settlers. And South Carolina has an early history of using African slaves. Pennsylvania is next. Charles II gave William Penn the colony of Pennsylvania. Now the special thing about this is that Penn was a Quaker. And Quakers were pacifists who were actually persecuted in England because they refused to serve in the army. They also refused to pay taxes to the Church of England. So naturally the Quakers are going to be persecuted because of their beliefs and their actions, and so William Penn will make Pennsylvania a safe haven for Quakers to migrate to. So while Maryland is our Catholic colony, Pennsylvania is our Quaker colony. All right, from mercantilism to dominion. First of all, a little recollection about mercantilism, especially under Elizabeth I, was trying to do whatever she could to make as much money for the mother country of England as possible. And now the monarchs in Britain are seeing the opportunity to make money off of the British colonies in America. So England wants to use the colonies to increase its wealth. So they used mercantilist policies to regulate colonial commerce and manufacturing, so that would specifically benefit the mother country. Some examples of this. If you look at the picture on the PowerPoint, I know some of it is somewhat cut off, but these are kind of rules that are going to be enforced by the Navigation Acts, and we'll talk about those in a second. But essentially they're going to force certain goods be sent to only England. They're only going to want the colonists to export things using British ships so that they could, that England could benefit from them. They want to take certain cargo to England to be taxed before it could, or certain, take certain cargo from other countries to England to be taxed before they could deliver and trade within the colony. So there's all kinds of rules that we'll expand on a little bit later. But essentially, colonies produced certain goods that would have to be sent to the mother country first before being exported from England. So the mother country is going to make more money off of that transaction. And the colonists didn't really like this. And so some of them want to not obey these laws. But this is where we're going to send the Navigation Act. We're going to see the Navigation Acts come into play. So if you have a bullet that says Navigation Acts, you want to type under this. So Parliament began passing the Navigation Acts in the 1650s. And this gave England control over goods that were being exported out of and imported into the colonies. This was ensuring that England is going to maximize its profit from the colonies. Colonies could only import and export goods in British ships. Colonists could no longer trade with foreign merchants coming to North America. Certain goods could only be sent to England, and this includes tobacco, which obviously the colonies were making a lot of money off of. But with certain goods only going to England, that means that the colonial merchants are going to be losing their foreign markets. They're unable to trade with other countries for that crop that could make them a lot of money. So they're losing a profit here for sure. Alright. So the Dominion of New England. James II will now become king. And he wants more control over the colonies. So he makes Massachusetts Bay, Plymouth, Connecticut, and Rhode Island all one large royal province. Okay, sorry about that. Alright, he's going to make it all one royal province, the Massachusetts Bay, Plymouth, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. Oh, 1 second. Hi, sir.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Room's smelling better today.
It is. I'm actually recording a lesson right now, so I'm just letting you know because I'm going to be talking to myself. Okay, a little comic relief, ladies. So, altogether, these colonies will form what's known as the Dominion of New England. Massachusetts Bay, Plymouth, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and then eventually New York and New Jersey are also going to be added. So what does it mean by the fact that all of these colonies are now part of a dominion? Well, there would be a governor appointed by James II, meaning he is hand-selecting their leader. Colonial elected assemblies are no longer allowed, so there's no more representative government, no more representative democracy. All laws will be made by formal decree of the king. And they will only promote the Church of England as the dominant faith, the Anglican Church. So obviously, the colonists do not like this at all. And this is once again setting the stage, well, eventually we'll get to it, it's kind of setting the stage for revolution in the future. So the colonies are kind of losing some of their independence, and they're not liking this. Alright, the Glorious Revolution. So, we're not going to go into too much history about this specific revolution, but in this revolution in England, James II is actually exiled by the English people. The English don't really like James II. So the new monarchs will be James' daughter Mary and her husband William of Orange. And they agreed to rule as constitutional monarchs. This means they will have limited royal power. It'll be more in the hands of the Parliament. And this is because William and Mary were very open-minded to the idea of social contract theory. And if you kind of recall this from civics, the idea of social contract theory is that we need a government, so we make a contract with our government that as long as they protect us and promise not to abuse their power, we will give up certain rights and follow those laws. But the second a government would become too oppressive, then we could overthrow them. So this idea that's kind of stemming from the Glorious Revolution and social contract theory, they kind of spark a rebellion within the Dominion of New England, and the colonists demand that it be broken up. They demand that from William and Mary, their new monarchs. And the monarchs do agree to break up the Dominion. So it separates into those separate colonies once more, with Massachusetts Bay and Plymouth actually becoming one Massachusetts colony. And the colonists get a little bit of their freedom back. This is important because it's going to delay what will be the revolution for some time, but that will come later. All right, that is all of the notes, so we're finished. Write down any questions you have. Sorry about the little distraction in the middle of the screencast, but write down any questions you have, and I will see you tomorrow.